Hello everyone, this is Gail, and I am back doing another design team project for Tupelo Designs LLC, and it's going to be a little bit different than my normal polymer clay videos. I was thinking I would show you how to make homemade washi tape and use products that I have either got in my stash or have gotten from Tupelo. I'm going to be using some ink pads. I'm going to use the reverse confetti. It's one of their mini sets. It's avocado, aqua, brick, and stone. And I'm also going to use some distress inks, the chipped sapphire, fossiled amber, carved pumpkin, and wilted violet, just to give me a variety of colors. I'm going to be using miscellaneous stamps and stencils and inks and things. I do need to get my black ink. I didn't bring that over here, but we're going to start off with some very inexpensive items. Now, my work surface is very limited, so I am going to just be doing short pieces of washi. But if you have a large non-stick work surface or any kind of smooth surface where you could tape down wax paper like I did here, then you can make long washi tapes. But what I'm going to do today is only going to be about 12 inches long, because that's how big my grid is here and that's how wide my wax paper is. But this is very inexpensive wax paper. Came from the Dollar Tree, you know, just really cheap wax paper. And same thing with this. This is adhesive, not adhesive, it is masking tape. And when it comes to your masking tape, the lighter the color, of course, the better, because that way it won't change your colors very much. But also, the cheaper your adhesive is, or the masking tape, the better washi it will make. Now you can get different widths. In this case, mine is an inch wide, and I'm just going to keep the inch wide. But if you can get different widths of adhesive, I keep wanting to say adhesive, of masking tape, and use those. But all you need to do is just put your masking tape down onto your wax paper, and I'm trying to line it up the best I can. Like I said, I've got a very limited workspace. Let me move my stencils over because they're going to get in the way. And just lay layer after, row after row. You can butt them up to each other, which I'm going to do just because I like some of the effects that it gives. But you can separate them if you want to do, if you want to separate them. So I may separate some of the ones at the bottom. But I was working with my jelly plate the other day, and these are some techniques that I use on my jelly plate, and I thought that it would make really pretty washi. And I'd always heard that you could use masking tape to make your own washi, and I just happened to have this. So I thought, why not? Let's give it a try. So there's 4 pieces that are all up together, and I think I will separate some so I can use different colors instead of blending the colors together. Separate. So I'll probably only be able to get 3 of these on here, but that's okay. But have you ever wanted to do a project and you wanted to use washi tape, but you didn't have anything that matched? And you go out to the store and you look and look and look and you can't find anything there. So there are times when making your own washi tape might be a good idea. Now, what I'm going to start off with, I believe, I was going to use acrylic paint, but I think that's going to make it too thick for washi. So I think instead I'm going to use the ink pads. And I'm going to just open them up and just kind of dab them on here. And see where I'm saying if you wanted to, blend them together, you can do it this way. And it doesn't matter what the design is that you end up with, unless you want something in particular. But just make sure that you get some color on here. It doesn't even have to be even. Let me do this because those were kind of uniform looking. And see, those are just different. And that's the chipped sapphire. And I think I'm going to put, let me use some of the wilted violet and just do the same thing. You don't have to do as much because your tape is covered now, but you just want to add a little bit of color here and there. And you don't want it totally opaque because we're also going to be stamping on this later. And let's see, what else could I put on there to brighten it up a little bit? Maybe the fossilized amber. And hopefully it's dry, because no, it's not dry yet. I'm going to wait just a little bit. So I'm going to come down here. Now down here, let's think, let's do maybe something in green. So I'm going to use the reverse confetti here and see what the avocado looks like. And this time I'm not going to dab, I'm going to just go across like this. Okay, let me get my black ink pad. It's right over here. Okay, I just wanted to have it for the next step while these are drying. And I think on the next one I might do, let me try that. Well, let's do some Halloween. It's that time of year. This one I will dab, just to give it a mottled look instead of it being solid. And so I'll make this one kind of orangey. And you can use any colors. There's so many things you can do with this, this technique. Let me see if these have dried. Not quite. May have to hit them with my heat gun to get them to dry. But in the meantime, I got some orange on this one. Not that it really matters, but I can still wipe it off. I evidently didn't leave enough room between. And what color should I do this one? And if you're like me, you're sitting there answering me, and even though I can't hear you. But let's try this brick. That's a pretty color. And I believe I'm just going to do this one lightly, because masking tape also has a little bit of texture to it. So doing this will kind of give it that little bit of texture. So that's a pretty color. So there's 3 colors, 3 different techniques. And let me get my heat gun. Everything I use is always on the other side of the room. As you probably know, I am mainly a polymer clay artist, and my polymer clay is on this work table, which is where I do my videoing, and my paper projects I do at a different desk, and it's across the room. And being across the room, I'm here because this is where my camera is set up. and I just don't have all of my things on this side. So let me see if I can run the heat gun a little bit and get this dry. You don't want to heat it too much because masking tape will kind of get stiff. But I'm just trying to get the ink to dry a little bit. I'm just going to work up at the top, so maybe that will... And I'll hit it again when I'm finished. Let me set this over here where it will be out of the way. There. Okay, so hopefully this is dry now. Not totally, but it will be. These inks do take a little while to dry, but that's okay. Well then, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some daubers. Let's see. Here's one. And this one kind of fits on your fingertip. And what I can do now is like use this yellow, but instead of messing up my ink pad, I'll put it on this dauber. Oh, this one's taped. Huh, okay. Let me pull that tape off. And I'll just stick it on this piece of tape. But let me just fill in some of these areas where there's no color. And I need to wipe it off on something because that purple and blue are getting on the dauber. I may have to clean off this ink pad to use it again. Or I may just have to get another one. See my dauber, how dark it's gotten? I can't tell whether it's getting on my ink pad. But I'm going to use it on this orange also. Oh, that's looking nice. Kind of gives it a woodsy color, which is good at Halloween. But I think for right now, because I'm going to leave this red, I'm going to leave that green. I ought to do something else on that blue and purple. This is a lighter blue. This is more of an aqua blue. Make sure that all the orange is off of it. I could dip this in water, but then it would mess up my ink pads. If I were using acrylics, I would do that. But this is sort of an aqua. Let's see what this is going to do. Oh, that adds some interest. And I'll keep dabbing it off because I don't want to contaminate my ink pad. But this is making a pretty color. Yes, I like that. I like that a lot. And you don't have to do it. This is all your own design. However you want your colors to look. I really don't want a lot of solid colors. I would rather have some muted colors. I may even just take this and blend some of this purple and blue in together. Add some more aqua. You just play. And more than even just playing, just have fun. If it doesn't turn out the way you like it, what does it cost you? Just pennies in your paper and tape. Because goodness knows how much masking tape is on that roll that I got for $1. And same with the wax paper. And the ink is, I mean, it's ink. If you have the ink pads and the re-inkers, it's really not a big deal. So saying that, you might want to make sure you do get re-inkers for your ink pads. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do color-wise on these. I could do more, and I probably would if it were just me playing around, but since I have you watching, I think I will wait. So I'm going to put this aside. I need to wash that out. I'm going to get another paper towel off of my roll. Okay, now what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to get out my black archival ink. This is the Ranger Archive, it's permanent and it's waterproof. And it will dry quickly. And then I just arbitrarily pick some stamps. And I think I'm going to save my stencils for last. But I'm just going to find some stamps. Here's a Bow Bunny stamp, which I know I got at Tupelo. And I'm going to open that, and I'm going to put that on a block. What I'm going to use, I think, is I might use some of the text too. In fact, the text might be better. This is French text. So where did I put my blocks? Here's my big block. I did get this at Tupelo too. It's a big block, but it will work really well on this. And I'm just going to put the text on the block here at the bottom. And I like to take the ink to the stamp as opposed to the stamp to the ink. And I'm going to, here, I think I'm going to do it sideways first. Because you don't necessarily want to be able to read this. It's just, how you do with other stamps. You just want to have, let me just do it at an angle. I probably should have gotten one of my smaller stamp blocks. But this one was handy. And just stamp it in various places. And it'll just, the black kind of really pops on the stamp, on your washi. And it just adds some interest. The top one is going to pretty much be like a collage type washi. It's not going to be any particular theme. not going to be any particular colors. Let me do this one this way. Even if it crosses over, it doesn't really matter. But I think that's all I'm going to do on this one. Let me wipe it off. This is a Bow Bunny stamp, and I really like the way it cleans off so easily. But I think that's all I'm going to do on that one. And let's see, what else have I got over here? Oh, I've got some of these stamps. This is a flower. I'm not sure where I got this. It's been in my stash. But I'm just going to put a flower here and there. If they overlap, that's okay. We're just adding some interest. But words and flowers sound very romantic, don't they? Just make sure I've got flowers on all the pieces of washi. I've got so many things in my stash. And a lot of them were bought for polymer clay, but now that I'm working with some paper products, they do the same there. So where I was using them for rubber stamping, other people were probably using it for paper. So there's some flowers and some writing. Here's a little bumblebee. I think I'll put a little bumblebee here and there. And maybe I'll just put him on this bottom one. Although I kind of like that little bumblebee. I think I'm going to put him at least on a couple. Actually, if I do it on the whole thing, since my pieces of tape are going to be so short, I can wrap these all on the same spool and just save them, be able to use them on some larger projects. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Love that little bee. Okay, let me wipe him off. Well, there goes my phone, but they will just have to wait. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave that alone. So now we're down here on these. So I do believe I have a Halloween stamp somewhere. Here it is. This is also reverse confetti. And let me see. Most of these are going to be a little big to put on here, but I can put some of the sentiments on there. So let me do that. And let me find... Sorry for all that. And let me use some of these sentiments. I think I will use Under Your Spell for one. And we'll put this on a smaller block. And I will do that in black, mainly because Halloween is, their colors are usually like orange and black. So let me just do this. I'll stamp this a few times on this orange. And I'll wipe that off. Whoops. And throw it across the room. I'm going to put this one back and maybe do the Best Witches. No, Happy Haunting. That's what I'll do. So put this back on the sheet and I'm going to take out Happy Haunting. And I was looking for my block. So I'll put this on there, kind of at an angle a little bit. Well, I don't think I can put any more on there. I'll have to find something little. There are some candies on here. I can probably do that. The little bat, I probably could have put the bat on there, but I've covered it up with writing now, so I'm not going to worry with it right this minute. So there's the Happy Haunting. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is putting this back on the sheet. But I'm going to take my block and I'm going to put these little pieces of candy on here. Because what's Halloween without candy? And there's a little lollipop. I'm just going to do the... And let's see how this looks on here. And I can overlap the writing on these. Try to get them like here. It won't overlap the writing too much. And put some down here. You just want to make sure that wherever you use your washi, you're going to have some prints on there. And I think that's all I can do on that print-wise, but we'll add something else to it. Okay, I want to put, I'll cover up my ink. I want to put these back before I lose them because they're kind of small and I have already lost one small piece off another stamp. So I don't want to lose any more. So I want to go ahead and put these back on the little sheet. And the top is right here. And I can put them back in the folder. I've got the dies on the back. And I just put the stamps on the front. And so this is like a complete set. And this is reverse confetti. So, okay, so I've used that. Let me see what else I can do on here. Happy Haunting. I don't think I have anything that would go with that right now. Don't have anything out. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is. The one at the top, I want to add some white, but I'm not sure. I was going to stencil. Let me look at my stencils. I've got some border stencils, but that's kind of wide. I could probably use a wider stencil on those. Let me look at some of my other stencils. Here's some grass. I don't know what all I got out. I've got stuff everywhere because I was running out of room. Where are my other stencils? I had some other stencils out. That's what happens when I start moving things around. And where did my Bow Bunny stamps go? Oh, it's these. I need to put these back in here. So now I've got my Bow Bunny stamps back. Let's see what else I've got here. Let's see, I've used that. Oh, here's some. These would be interesting. These are some background stamps. I bet these would look good on there. Or even these. Let me see what I can do with these. Let me pull these. Oh, these are some little chickens, little birds. And those came out of another. Let me leave them on here. Because it came on another stamp. I was going to use those on something else. So let me get this one out and wipe the ink off. I get as much ink on me as I do on my projects. I don't know about you. But let me see. Let me get my white. I don't know if I want to do my stamp pad or not. I think I'm going to make a little something here. I think I'm going to get just a little bit of white acrylic paint. And I'm going to put it on my stamping block. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going to put just a little bit of a white acrylic paint on here. You make sure it's mixed up. And then I'm going to add some water. And I'm just going to spread it around a little bit. And I think I'll use this as a stamp pad. Or better yet, I may use it on the stencil. So let me find, I'm going to use the stamp first. Where's the little, no, I want to use that in black. Let me get, I think I'll use this bamboo stencil up here. And I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to just get a sponge. It can be any kind of sponge. It can be a makeup sponge. And dip it into the white that you made on your block. See, acrylic blocks are not just for stamping. And just dab it off a little bit, and then just pat a little bit of white. Now you're not trying to cover it. You can see it's still not dry. You're not trying to cover it. You're just trying to add a little bit of highlight to this. And you can use any stencil. I'm just using the bamboo because it's something that I had that had sort of delicate lines to it. And let me show you what that looks like when I pull this up. See, it just adds sort of a ghost quality to your stamp. And let me wipe this off. And let me do the other side. And do the same thing. Just dab your white paint on. And you can put polka dots. You can do just about anything. But I think I'm going to let that go. That's going to be the blue washi. And I ought to have a pan with some water in it to put these stencils in. I think I will. I'm going to turn the camera off just for a minute and go get me some water. Okay, I'm back. I've got my water now. I didn't want to ruin my stencil by letting it sit there and dry, but I'm also going to take, I've got some little hearts, little tiny hearts. Of course, I got white on my finger because I mixed some more white paint to use as a stamp pad. And I'm going to put those on my hearts. And I dropped this in it. I don't want to get all these shadows. But I've got a solid heart and an open heart. And I'm just going to stamp them here. This is probably a little bit too wet for them, so I'm just going to dab it off. So you just kind of add to what you've got. Let me just to add some color. And variety. Keep forgetting. Let me show you what I'm doing. I'm dabbing it in the ink and then I'm stamping it off. Now, I'm not getting much on that top layer because of all the stuff I've got up here. And you just, I mean, I could keep stamping all day. But because these are acrylic, it's acrylic paint, I'm going to put these in my water. I took them off of here. And I might go ahead and put the block in there too and just rinse some of that white paint off of it before it dries. Of course, even if it dries, it will come off. That's one good thing about acrylic paint. But I might be using this again. And I don't know that I'll be needing any more white paint down here. I may, but it'll probably, well, I'll let it sit. Maybe it won't dry. We'll see. Okay, so this one I'm going to, this pack I'm going to count as done. It just needs to dry. So let's work on this one. And that one, I think I could do some stencils on. It kind of looks, well, there's leaves. If I do the leaves like that, the only thing is, what color should I do the leaf in? And do I use paint or do I use the stamp pad? Actually, before I do this, I want to finish up this Halloween one. And I found this stamp, and it's actually coral, but I think it can also look like an eerie kind of plant. So I'm going to try this and see what this looks like on here. And just not dab, whoops. Try to hold on to it though, but try not to do it too dark. I can't get close. Let me see, what's the best way for me to get the closest to that side? I think this way maybe. There. So yeah, you can't read all the words, and that's okay, because the words really aren't important. People aren't going to look at your washi and say, oh, let me see if I can read your washi. It just doesn't work that way. But that's going to be my Halloween washi. Let me wipe that off. I just wipe it off. I've got paper towel I've been using for my fingers, so I'm just wiping it off on that. So I will put this back where it came from. And we're back to this green one. I was thinking Christmas, but maybe red would be better for Christmas. And I'm looking at these other stencils. I know I had the leaf stencil. And I also have this other one that looks like ribbons. And I might do that. Oh, I know what I could use. How about a gel pen? I think I will put, I've got red, gold and silver gel pen, and I probably shouldn't use anything quite so busy if I'm going to use the gel pen. Let me see what other ones I've got here. Actually, what you can do with the gel pen is just draw swirls. And have them so that they come off of the edge. And this makes an interesting design. You can make them as big or as little as you want. You can make them look like they run off the edge of the paper. You can do big ones, you can do little ones, tight together, farther apart. Since I did that one, let me do one down here that's a little bit smaller. Whoops, that doesn't look much like a... Kind of ruined the green, but that's alright. Anyway, so now I've got a little bit of gold on this. So let's put a little bit of silver. Actually, I think I'm going to just put some silver on this up at the top. Maybe do some little stars. Little stars don't show up very well. But this is a glitter gel pen. So these little stars will show up in the light. You may not be able to see them there. I don't know how well that's going to work, so I may not do that. But okay, so that's something else you can do is gel pen. You can also use white paint on your stamps. Let me find... Well, here's some stamps. I was saying I lost some of my stamps. I didn't know where they went. On the red one, I probably should do something Christmassy since it's getting to be that part of the season. Let me rinse these little hearts off before they were floating in the water, and I know I'll lose them if I don't put them back on their sheet. See, I believe this is that one, and this one is that one. There. This is the Be Happy stamp. Not sure where I got that one. Anyway, you can see how easy it is to make washi. I really need to find something Christmassy for the bottom, so I'm just not going to do the bottom right now. I'm going to finish these, cover up my stamp. While I've got this white paint, I ought to do something with a stamp, maybe on the green. And I'll use this other piece of coral. And if I can find an empty block, here's one. And I'll show you how you can stamp. You don't have to stamp with ink. You can stamp with acrylic paint. And this is the acrylic paint that I sprayed with water and just kind of made my own little ink pad. And I'm going to just put that on there with the, that looks kind of neat, doesn't it? And I'll zigzag it. I kind of like the way that looks. I spilled a little dab, see if I can incorporate it into a stamp. You see, even paint works well with your stamps, so you can use paint with your stamps. It's not going to bother them at all. All you need to do is just rinse them off when you're finished. There, so that sort of looks Christmassy there, doesn't it? Sort of looks like Christmas trees. And I'm just going to take some water and spritz this off, but I can't do it over my work because it will get all over my washi. So I'm just spraying it with some water. And see, it got all the paint off. So all you got to do is dab it dry and put it away. So there you go. I've shown you several different things you can do. Now the only problem is, like I said, I'm not going to touch this bottom one. I need to let this dry. And because of the inks, it may take a little while for it to dry. So I'm going to stop the camera and I'm going to come back in a couple hours when I feel like it's ready to roll up, and I'll show you a way that you can save this so that you can use it on your projects. So I will be back soon, just a minute. Okay everybody, I don't think the colors are showing up as well as they are on my tape because these are beautiful. I just love them. So let me show you what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take a straw, just a common drinking straw, and I'm going to cut a piece off a little bit wider than the tape is going to be. And I'm going to wrap this tape. Well, first off, I'm going to pull it off of the wax paper, hopefully without, well, I'll rip the paper there. Let me try it on this side. Let me get it loose. Now what I'm going to do is trim a straight side here and get rid of this ugly end. Now let me go ahead and pull this up. Maybe if I bring it a little closer to my camera, you can see the beautiful colors. But being stuck on wax paper, it should have come off easier than it did on this end, but that's okay. I managed. But can you see the colors better here? I just think it's really pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here and try to keep it straight. And I'm going to roll it tight. I don't want it to have a lot of air or gaps in it. And just try to, just keep it as straight as you can. It may not be perfectly straight. And just when you get to the end, you can cut off that end. And this blue, since I have several sheets of the blue, I'm going to just wrap it on top of this. So let me pull off the next sheet. But washi is the only difference in washi and masking tape, American masking tape, is the fact that the washi is printed. Because, this is, masking tape is a paper tape. And it's used to mask things, which is what washi tape is used for sometimes. So this kind of got stuck on itself. Sorry, I had to kind of get it unstuck. But I'm going to just continue wrapping and make this a larger roll. Now, if you're using a larger piece of tape, then you won't have these separate pieces. Like I said, if you can find either a non-stick work surface or just a long piece of glass. I used to have a piece of glass that was, it was actually a door to a cabinet. And when the cabinet started coming apart, I kept the glass door because it was tempered. And I used it for years as a countertop, a work surface. And then when I moved from Florida, I just had so much stuff. I had filled up the largest truck that U-Haul has, plus a trailer that was pulled behind it, and I still had stuff left at the house I couldn't take. I threw away a lot of stuff, I gave away a lot of stuff, and one of the things that I sacrificed was that piece of glass. I also had a piece of granite. It was a friend of mine had gotten a granite countertop, and they asked her if she wanted the sink cut out, and she knew that I would probably get some use out of it for my polymer clay. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and do all this at the same time. And so she kept it and gave it to me, and the only problem was it was extremely heavy. It was really heavy. But you can see how I'm doing this. I'm just rolling it up on the straw. Every once in a while you might have to lay it down on the table in order to get it straight again. But I've got different, well, I didn't get it straight, did I? I've got different straws for, different colors. And this ended up turning a little bit, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's not quite straight because it's at the end, so the next one I will just start over a little bit and try to get it a little straighter. I just want to finish one just so you can see what I'm doing. And then hopefully you will make your own. You can get the stamps. A lot of the stamps that I use came from Tupelo Designs LLC. I have a list somewhere. The acrylic block, the big acrylic block, this one that I used, that you can get that at Tupelo. You can get the smaller blocks at Tupelo. There's, what else? Oh, the ink pads, all of that are available at the Tupelo Designs LLC website. So I hope you'll give them a try. They've been very good to me, and I hope I've been a benefit to them with my videos. But you can see I'm going to have a nice big washi roll, not big, but a nice washi roll when I'm finished. Alright, now this is the end of my last strip of the blue. So what I'm going to do to store it is I'm just going to cut this off a little bit closer to the end of this one, because this one end of the tape was a little off center. I don't want to cut that, but I do want to cut down this a little bit. But there you go. There is one roll of handmade washi tape. And I finished the others. I didn't do anything extra to these two, but I did end up stamping Merry Christmas and putting some gold stars, Christmas type stars on here. So I do have now a Christmas washi. But this is just so much fun. You can use any colors you want. If you use the distress inks, I figured out that those, even though they're dye inks, it takes them a lot longer to dry on a non-porous surface like the tape. But that's okay. I just went and, did my thing this afternoon, and then I came back and it was all dry and ready to roll. So I hope you give it a try and give Tupelo Designs a try. And I will see you again next Monday with another project for Tupelo Designs LLC. Thanks. Bye-bye.